And we are coming down in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Getting Sports with Drunk. I'm your host, Cupcake the Riddler, and I'm joined by
the Office of Barons.
And the Rat of a Red Baron.
Yeah. Guy sucks eggs.
Yo.
We're here. Deal with it. Welcome to Getting Sports with Drunk. I am your hostess, Cupcake the Riddler, and welcome to post NFL season Getting Sports with Drunk.
Yeah.
Which also means it's pre-MLB season.
Which is more exciting than the end of the NFL season.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you there. The first 2 weeks of January are not more exciting for the MLB than the first week of the playoffs. I'll give you like pitchers and catchers is more exciting than the divisional and championship rounds, but I'm not gonna give you that, a bunch of MLB players being like, "Fuck, I should have ate all those churros this year." I'm not gonna give you Giancarlo Stanton like still trying to find his glove.
Wow, that could be a good video.
It could be a good video, but it's not. Unless, like John Boy Media does it.
John Boy Media is awesome.
I wasn't shitting on them.
I know.
I was just
reassuring with you.
I was just telling you how average they are.
Far from it.
Yeah. Starting lineup, Souls. What are you drinking from the mobile collection?
Ooh, no mobile collection today.
Sicko?
No.
Exxon?
Shell?
From my house.
What?
From my house.
Oh, what are you drinking from the Casa collection?
Water.
Nice. Tap?
You can say that.
What? Like filtered?
Yeah.
Filtered tap water?
The filtered is the tap of water.
Love it.
I wish you just came out with top tank toilet.
Shut up, it wasn't funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
Reed, what are you drinking?
I am drinking what will now be the oldest well, not the last, but the oldest item from the Riddler collection. I'm drinking Longevity. It's a Chardonnay from California, dated here at 2018.
Gross.
You might say that.
You did.
I also brought down this last bush. I'm contemplating mixing it to see what it's like.
Terrible.
It might be terrible.
It probably will be.
But I'm just dumb enough to find out.
I am drinking from the Burlington Beer Company out of Kendall. Care to take a guess where they're from?
Is it Vermont?
Sorry, no. We were looking for Williston, Vermont.
I hate when that happens.
Yep. I am drinking the Oaken Hive, which is a beer brewed in collaboration with Bar Hill Gin Distillery.
Whoa.
It is a Bar Hill Tomcat Gin barrel-aged English-style barley wine with raw honey added during brewing.
So that sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, Bar Hill Tomcat is a bourbon barrel-aged gin. So it's a bourbon barrel that had gin aged in it, and then they aged this beer in it. And it comes with a free subscription to Gin Monthly.
This is exciting news.
Mm-hmm. I elected for them to donate all of my gin to science. And then I bought the rest of the bottles and destroyed them all so Kendall can't have one.
A mean-spirited man you are.
Toast of excellence?
I have one. This is sort of a week old-ish, but I kind of liked it. To the Miami Dolphins, I guess. Calais Campbell had asked them if they didn't make the playoffs, if they would release him so he could have a chance to make one more Super Bowl run, which presumably he's going to retire. And they were pretty cooperative, which I thought was kind of cool on their behalf. Not the first team to, or player had done this. It was just, he's a guy who's played for a very long time, and I'm not going to say at always a high level, but always consistent. I mean, definitely a household name, and to the point that I was almost shocked that he was still making teams as he got older. So, I don't know. I guess good for him. Hopefully, maybe something special happens. Of course, it'll be Baltimore. I'll be pissed, but whatever.
This is a long toast of excellence.
Well, I just wanted to get all my reasons out.
My toast of excellence is to the Chicago Bulls and Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was the official honoree on January 4th when the Chicago Bulls denoted the day as Derrick Rose Day in the Chicago Bulls calendar, and it is 1-4, which is the numbers that he wore in both Chicago and New York, as well as in high school and at Memphis. He was told before the game, when he was in a meeting with the higher ups of the Chicago Bulls organization, how impressed they were with how he made a night that was supposed to be dedicated entirely to him about the fans, but that he would have a harder time doing that next year when they retire his number on the same day. So Derrick Rose, broke down at that news. So Derrick Rose getting his number retired, and as well as the Chicago Bulls for doing something that I feel like is often just not done, which is when they have a major dedication to a large part of a player's history in their team, they go out and fucking choke and lose. The Bulls were able to not only win the game, but they were able to best one of the Eastern Conference's top dogs in the New York Knicks.
Pretty cool. Very appropriate.
Mm-hmm. I also have another toast of excellence for after Kyle goes.
No, go ahead.
No, I want to go last on this one because it's really long.
Yeah, my toast of excellence is to the third string quarterbacks out there who balled out.
Yeah.
Like Milton from the Patriots and Tanner McKee and not Carson Wentz. That's all I got.
It's a good one.
Sure. I don't need your gratification.
I'm on your side.
Do you guys think that do you think the Chiefs intentionally tried to keep Burrow out of the playoffs?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
If
Here we
anybody
go.
was happy about that, it was Buffalo.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, Kyle, hello.
Hey, yo.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. I thought you cut out for a second. All right, here we go. On to one of my favorite parts of the NFL season every year, Incentive Week. The 18th week of the NFL season is.
Well, did I drop?
Nah, Paul did.
Paul, are you here?
Paul's not here.
Paul, we can't hear you.
My
Let's see.
name is Finley, and I love to fight. Forgot wrestling was on.
Yeah, I mean, Raw. I saw a thing. Raw's going to be 3.5 hours tonight.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean,
Here I am watching fucking college basketball.
I mean, I am interested, but I'm not going to bother trying to get Netflix on this TV down here and do all that.
I got Netflix.
What's that?
I got Netflix.
Well, you have to fill me in if anything cool happens.
Yeah, I missed the first 20 minutes.
Aha, there he is.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
No, you're all good.
For some reason, on the right side of my bedroom, I always drop. I don't know why. All right. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Week 18 in the NFL has become ceremoniously known as Incentive Week, where many starters and even a few backups try to accumulate what seem like meaningless stats to the fans, but result in millions and millions of dollars paid out by these organizations to their players. I would like to rattle off a few that were accomplished yesterday.
Let's hear it.
All right, so the big one that everybody was rooting for, Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. not only tied Jerry Rice for some record, I don't know what it was, but
Most consecutive game seasons with 1,000 yards.
no, because Jerry Rice has 14 of those, so it's not that.
It was something like that.
I think it was a 65 plus catches or something. I don't know. Was it most of 1,000-yard seasons? I thought that because Jerry Rice has had 14. Was it for Mike Evans just to pass Randy Moss and go into second all time?
It might be that.
Yeah, I tell you what though, it's pretty impressive that it won't. Mike Evans will probably catch Randy Moss for yards. He's only 500 away, so he'll definitely catch him.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Mike Evans was a big one. He had an incentive bonus as well as a record bonus, like a record-setting thing. So by crossing the 1,000-yard plateau this season, he earned an extra $3 million in incentives. Geno Smith, he also cashed in $666,000 by finishing top 10 in the NFL in receiving touchdowns. Geno Smith, the Seahawks, cashed in $6 million in bonuses by reaching career highs in passing yards, completion percentage, and getting Seattle to 10 wins on the season. Baker Mayfield got a $2.5 million bonus in his paycheck for finishing top 10 in the league in completion percentage, yards per pass attempt, touchdowns, passer rating, and passing yards. Von Miller recorded his sixth sack on the season early in the Patriots game, which awarded him $1.5 million in bonuses. Cortland Sutton got $500,000 bonuses for reaching 500 and 750 yards, and then added another $500,000 when he broke the 1,000-yard mark against Kansas City. Unknown wide receiver Mac Hollins was given a $50,000 bonus for 30 catches on the season, as well as what I think should be the most exciting one of the year, the week. No offense to Mike Evans, but is to good guy head coach Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. Did you guys see what he did yesterday?
I did not.
Kyle, did you see it?
I did not.
So the Buffalo Bills were on the New England 35. It was 4th and whatever. Instead of putting out the field goal unit, he sent out Sam Martin, the punter, because Sam Martin would be given an extra $100,000 if he eclipsed 20 punts inside the 20. So he sent out the punt unit, had him kick a sky-high punt that was downed by his team at the 15-yard line, so he could get him an extra $100,000.
Good for him. That's a cool move.
Yeah.
Can I just say something real quick, off topic?
Mm-hmm.
So you know how The Rock was a heel in its latest feud?
Mm-hmm.
They just fucking pretty much said fuck that.
That he was a heel?
Yeah.
I mean, he was a heel. It's just the fans loved him.
No. In the recent feud with the Bloodline.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch any of that. So
yeah, so The Rock was a heel,
and
they just had him come out and just pretty much not be a heel.
All right.
He opened up the Raw. That's all he did.
Gotcha.
Well,
Okay.
we just got a promo, right? It could be anything.
It was like, hey, Cody, you're cool. He said that.
All right, back to my list. In some AFC North news, Kyle Van Noy of the Ravens was able to record his 12.5 sack on the season, which gave him a $250,000 bonus, as well as tight end Mike Gesicki for the Bengals, who needed just 3 yards against the Steelers to reach 600 on the season, which gave him a $125,000 incentive.
Ooh, he got that real early into.
Saquon Barkley, who already amassed plenty of bonuses for all of his scrimmage yards and stuff, picked up another $250,000 for being named to the Pro Bowl. He gets $500,000 if he's elected to first team All-Pro, and $250,000 if the Eagles make it to the conference championship, and another $250,000 if they make it to the Super Bowl. Yep. Zach Ertz, $250,000 for catching 60 passes. And then the real fun one more than anything was Juwan Jennings. Made me laugh real hard.
What was that one?
So Juwan Jennings got ejected from the game early after getting into a fight with Sean Murphy Bunting in the Cardinals game. Got ejected early in the second quarter. And Juwan Jennings would have not only was he fined $12,000 for the unnecessary roughness, but he also lost the ability to cash in $250,000 for reaching the 1,000-yard mark. He finished the season with 982 yards. And then, there's a bunch of other ones, I'm sure, but those are some of the big ones.
What was the deal with Cooper Rush? Did they hold him out for money? Is that what happened?
I don't think so. I think they just wanted to see if Trey Lance could do anything.
I could be wrong. I thought I heard that he was going to be owed, I don't know, call it $100,000 or something like that.
Yeah, so he would have gotten a $250,000 bonus if he played 55% of the offensive snaps. And being benched in that game, not playing that game, ensured he wouldn't hit that mark. But Jerry Jones came out and said that he said, I didn't even know about the bonus. He goes, it had nothing to do with that decision. He goes, I only wanted Trey Lance to play because I wanted to evaluate him in a game that meant nothing. So take it for what you will. It's Jerry Jones saying it, so who knows?
Right.
It's a good thing to do.
Well, hopefully, I don't know, maybe just give some money out of pocket. Not out of pocket, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's tough, though, because it's like, I see it from all the angles. It's like the Saquon thing. Like, I would have loved to have seen Saquon get the record, because to me, the record, like the 17-game thing doesn't mean anything, because we're only going to have 17 games, if not more, in the future.
Right.
So, like, who cares? Like, you put an asterisk next to it. When people tell the story, they can say it was in 17 games. Just like all the people, like Mock said in our group chat, all the people should be saying Eric Dickerson did it in 2 more games than OJ did.
True.
So, but I get it at the same time, because even if they let Saquon play, they weren't letting the offensive line play. So, like, from Saquon's standpoint, like, yeah, I get the record, and yeah, I get to do it against my team that thought I wasn't valuable enough. But at the same time, do I really want to risk getting hurt when I've had my best year of my career? We have a real playoff chance, and I'm going to be running behind a bunch of backups.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. And I think at that point, you just got to say, hey, this is Kyle's fault.
I think so.
I agree.
Kyle really pushed the Giants to not bring him back.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is going to be kind of boring, but it'll also go quick. Do you guys want to give any sort of reflection? Just because there's only 3 of us and 2 of you are the same team. Do you care to give any reflection on the season? Something you wish, like something you wish happened, whether it be like a player get more time or a player had been cut in the off, whatever, or anything like that. Do you care to give a ribbon on the regular season for your teams or team?
Yeah.
You have to. You don't have to, Kyle.
I'll go first.
Well, how about this? Let's do this. Since there's 2 of you, why don't we do a quick little discussion-based type thing? Kyle, why don't you tell me how you put a ribbon on the offense? Kendall will put a ribbon on the defense. Then you can make comments about what he said, and he can make comments about what you said.
All right, fine.
And I'll take the coaching staff.
Deal.
The offense.
I'll start first. I love that Tomlin requested a trade to Chicago. I think that's really good for the team. I think it's really good for the Steelers organization. Get a nice fresh start. And then, good for Tomlin. We're happy to have Omar Epps in the South Side. All right, Souls, fire away.
So the offense played better than I expected early on. You didn't know what they were going to do. There are a lot of young pieces that got their feet wet, especially on the offensive line. I mean, they're fucking starting 3 rookies and 1 second-year player. So I just think that in time they're going to get better and gel better. There was inconsistencies in the run game. In like the beginning and middle of the season, like Najee Harris looked different. He looked faster, looked, ready to go. Then as the end of the year happened, he kind of lost it, and Jalen Warren started, breaking off runs. So that's an interesting scenario that we have to deal with, if they want to bring him back or not. The Steelers receivers, I mean, they need to address it in the offseason. None of them get open. I mean, Pickens is a great talent, but we saw last week, dude's in his own fucking head. And then the quarterback play, I thought Russell has been fine. He's been really good. Fields was good when he played. I don't think they utilized him enough in a special role. By also understanding, leaving the ball in Russell's hands. The narrative of him not being able to throw down the middle, he kind of broke that this year because he made a lot of nice passes in the middle of the field. And I wouldn't be opposed to him coming back. They just need to address the receiver. Because it's hard when Pickens was out, you're running Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, and Ben Skoranek out there. All three of them can get fucking separation. So I think that 4-game losing streak had a lot to do with receivers not being able to get open. That's my thinking on the Steelers. And recently, Arthur Smith's been fucking predictable as fuck. Run him first, run him second, throw him third. Got to change it up. But
Well, you guys will have you'll have the opportunity when Arthur Smith is head coach in the Chicago Bears. We asked permission to see him.
But he besides this recent stretch, he's been even of those guys that thrives as a coordinator, bad as a head. He thrives as a coordinator. He was okay in Atlanta, but not. Raheem Morris did the same fucking thing he did. So.
Well, I think a lot. I'd have to go look at his stats real quick. I think a lot of what you said about the whole Jalen Warren thing, the Najee Harris experiment, I think has kind of run its course. Not that he's not a good back, he is, but I think that they should be using Najee Harris and Jalen Warren like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Yeah,
they should be using them in situations, have certain situations for them, whether it's Jalen Warren's third down and power back, and Najee's the receiving back and things like that. They have two very good backs, and instead of using them the way the Lions are using them, they're using them the way the Panthers use Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams, which was just not properly. And it resulted in them just being household names that people kind of forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
If I see one more fucking pitch to Harris, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, it's the wrong guy to be doing that too.
You're talking to the wide receiver screen guy. You know how many wide receiver screens I got to watch yesterday? About 700 of them.
They won.
Yeah, they sure did. And the other thing that I think from the offensive standpoint, granted, I didn't watch a ton of it, but one thing that I definitely feel like they're not doing enough is utilizing Freiermuth. Now, statistically, he had the same year he always has. 65 catches, which 2022 he had 63, 2021 he had 60. He had 78 targets, which is about what he always has. He was actually his second highest in yards, and 7 touchdowns, which there's no problems there. But I just feel like when you have a lacking at the number 2 wide receiver position, and you have a young quarterback when it was Justin Fields, or a old quarterback as in Russell Wilson, I just feel like Freiermuth's not used the way that he should be. He's a good receiving tight end. I don't care about the touchdowns. 7 touchdowns is great. Don't get me wrong. like I don't care if that was 0. What I would like to see is I would like to see Fryermuth like in that like 90 receptions range. I'd like him to be an extension of that running game.
Towards the end of the season, they definitely started using him more.
But the thing was, is like, but they were using him as a receiver. I want them to use him more as an extension of the running game, the short hitch routes, the drag routes, the play action delay, delayed block and release type plays. He was a deep threat for them. He always kind of has been, but in order to be a deep threat as a tight end, you have to have, good release off the line, and you have to have physical strength to get through the linebackers. So in order to do those things, that means you should be able to run a simple hitch route or a quick drag route. And I just feel like that would open things up a lot more because like Najee Harris is kind of runs a lot of the way like Le'Veon Bell did, like a lot of the kind of dance around behind and find the opening. And then Jalen Warren's just like the up the middle, like pound it down your throat guy. And so if those quick outs to like a Fryermuth are there, it doesn't allow linebackers to just sit and wait for a gap in the middle and then just expose it.
Mm-hmm.
I just would like to see that more from the Steelers organization as a whole, just getting Fryermuth more involved in the quote, because like in today's NFL, like the screen passes and the short quick throws, that's all extensions of the running game.
Yeah.
That's where I would like to see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Kyle basically hit it on the head. I don't want to rehash too much. I mean, big things for me, receivers needed to step up. I was expecting a lot more. They traded for Mike Williams. He was pretty much a non-factor. He had one big play versus Washington.
Don't worry, you'll take him as a Charger.
Oh, I will. Running situation was odd. I feel like they did the wrong things with the wrong backs. That sometimes they needed to swap to their skill sets. And for me, and we talked about this in our group chat, like they had a real cool opportunity to really utilize Justin Fields and have a wider playbook and do a lot of things, not even in the red zone, in short yardage situations, and they did not take advantage. You had two guys on 1-year deals, and foreseeably there's a chance you might have neither going into next year. And it's kind of like one of those once in a football lifetime situations. And, 17 games, 18 games, whatever it is, went by and it just didn't play out. So.
And any review on the defense?
My review of the Steelers defense this year was as advertised. I will say that the defensive line and linebackers, there was great pass rush. Having Alex Highsmith miss some time is always a shame because it just helps T.J. Watt's effectiveness so much more. Not that it's reliant, but it's a great 1-2 punch. I think the secondary was better. A lot of young talent, and they made some big plays in big spots. I was very satisfied with the way they played. The biggest thing I've found, and I don't have the stats to back this up. I'd love to know what missed tackle rate and stuff like this. Just from an observer, I don't know how the Steelers defense coaches these guys up, but it's always like they're going for these really I'm going to mess you up tackles, like these really hard hits. And that's where the misses come. That's where the overcommitting on plays happen. And it's like every single year, it's a thing for this defense. And I don't know why that is. Maybe the numbers would dispute what I'm saying, but just as a viewer, that's one of the biggest issues I have, and the biggest crutch for why Pittsburgh struggles and why they give up chunk plays. It's just overcommitting to the ball and just being too aggressive in situations that it doesn't call for. I will say that I think they were on the field a lot this year when offense was struggling. It felt like, the team was probably gassed, and that's where, some of those long drives come. And I guess one final thing I'll say about him is I don't want to say lack of clutchness, because that's not entirely fair. I'll say I think they came up short in some opportunities they had in their control.
Yeah. All right. Kyle, care to rebuttal?
They need another corner. I mean, especially on the outside. Like, so there's this kid coming out of the draft from Eastern Carolina, and he would be a projected, top 15 guy. But he's gonna fall because he tore his ACL in the beginning of the season. That's somebody I would like for the Steelers to take instead of taking a linebacker or an offensive line. I like for them to actually attack like a position that instead of just kind of rolling with it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I've seen Corey Trice get beat 10 times last game. Joey Porter holds too fucking much. I just need the defensive coordinator to let some of their players just be free.
Yeah. Well, I think something too that you guys are kind of suffering from is just that like the quote unquote like cornerstones of your defense are getting older. And with that just comes a quote unquote like a slight deterioration in skill set. Like Minkah Fitzpatrick's doesn't have as quick of a step. TJ Watt is probably losing a little bit here and there, like not a lot, but fatigue definitely probably plays a part too. Your body can only handle so much. You can train all you want, but trying to push around 300-pound offensive lineman week after week is going to take its toll.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Hayward is like 500 years old.
You know what though? He keeps getting better with age.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. This is like his best year.
No, it's not.
It's up there.
Nope.
Yeah, it is.
Nope.
Look it up.
All right, I'm looking it up.
I would defend you more, Kyle, if you knew where that jersey was.
Yeah, it's Detroit.
Could be.
I think one could also say, though, that he had a really good year because you guys sucked.
All right, that's fair.
Larry Ogunjobi.
He's
How old is Cam Hayward?
like 34, 35.
39.
How old is he?
39.
Is he really?
No. Aren't you glad I did that to you?
No, not really.
I was going to say that was much older than I thought.
Hey, it's got to be a bummer for the Seahawks, right? Because like they were the first sub 500 team to make the playoffs in NFL history, and then this year when we had the most double-digit win teams in NFL history, they're the only double-digit win team not to be in the playoffs.
That's pretty funny. I didn't know that.
I didn't understand why they fired their offensive coordinator. They scored points.
I don't know. Somebody had to be blamed. That team underperformed.
My guess is DK Metcalf wasn't happy, so they just said, okay, we don't want to anger big strong guy.
Big strong guy going to be traded.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Seattle is all the teams that are in the playoffs have at least 10 wins. Seattle is the only double-digit team to not be in the playoffs. The Rams,
a big variety this year.
The Rams are the only team in the playoffs to not have a plus run differential or point differential.
Yeah, they really are pissed that they got the 3 seed.
The Rams?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they didn't, so.
But they did.
No, they're the 4 seed because the Vikings are going on the road to play them. And the Vikings are the 5 seed.
Only they played their starters.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered because Tampa Bay won. Oh, no. It would have mattered, actually. Sorry, yeah, because they would have had a better record than Tampa. I don't think they cared as much. I think they wanted to make sure that their two injury-riddled receivers
Stayed off the field.
were able to fucking, go. What do you guys? Who do you guys project are the playoff juggernauts and the playoff pretenders?
You didn't talk about the Bears, Paul.
Oh, they were bad. Projections had them being a borderline playoff team. They shattered those projections by being a borderline number one pick at some points. The offensive line and defensive line were not addressed in the offseason, and it showed hard. The offensive line was, if I had to guess, probably like 25th overall. And then the defensive line had to be in the same area. They just generated no pass rush. This was
good.
Huh?
Was Montez Sweat good?
No, Montez Sweat was real bad this year. Some of it was injury. I think it was a combination of injury and
nobody else on the other side.
Yeah, getting doubled and double teamed and chipped a lot, combined with injury. But I also think there was a certain lackluster to play. I mean, I don't want to ever say a guy has quit, but I think so. The biggest team, which I mean, there's the Washington Hail Mary game was deflating, and it took the wind out of the Bears' sails. And if that's enough to cripple a team, it's as heartbreaking of a play as it is. If it's enough to cripple your team, you didn't have any culture to start with. Every team has a heartbreaking loss here and there, and if it's enough to completely derail a 4-2 season into not into a 10-game losing streak, then you were never good to begin with. Let's just state that. But I think the Hail Mary game really took the wind out of their sails. The Arizona game beat them down, and then nobody showing up to play one of the worst teams in the league in New England at home and getting the doors blown off by New England at home. I think after that, I think the team was just like, okay, Cancun on 3. The defense was lackluster. All the people that have been paid have been underperforming, with the exception of T.J. Edwards. Jalen Johnson had a down year. Tyreek Stevenson was awful. Jaquan Brisker got hurt early in the year, got that concussion in week 4, and then never played again. Kevin Byard was good, but he's old, and he's the type of safety that he really benefits from having a safety that roams the field so he can ball hawk. And I think he had to take a step back and play a little bit more of a conservative safety role. And the pass rush was non-existent. Offensive line, there was no blocking, run or pass. Caleb was a rookie. I expected the mistakes. I expected the growing pains. And I expected a lot of, when shit hit the fan, to revert to what worked for him in college, which was, playing gymnastics in the backfield and extending plays by holding onto the ball, and that doesn't work in the NFL. That's something he's going to have to figure out in the offseason. For having a great wide receiver room, there was a lot of mental mistakes. Keenan Allen, especially, was drop happy. Rome Odunze was turnover happy when it mattered most. And DJ Moore was, I think he was utilized wrong. I mean, he's the best he's the best version of himself when the ball's in his hands. But the wide receiver screens and not letting him run any sort of routes all season long, I think, really hurt him. And then, whatever, nobody knows except for him and Caleb Williams, really. But whatever the media distraction probably didn't help it. Cole Kmet was non-existent on the season.
I think that was the biggest thing.
It was. I mean, I don't think Shane Waldron even knew who Cole Kmet was coming into the season. To be honest with you, I don't think he even knew who he was. I think the Bears are going to be in for a real rough shock. I think you're going to see some surprising cuts or trades for some bigger ticket players. I think on the defensive side of the ball, I think the only 3 players on the defensive side of the ball that I would label, outside of obviously first-year rookies, because you can't just judge them off that, But Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, simply because of money on Montez Sweat's end at this point, Jalen Johnson and TJ Edwards. Everybody else, I think, is completely in the complete possibilities of being cut or traded. And on the offensive side of the ball, DJ Moore and Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze. That's it. I think everybody else is dispensable at this point. And I think you're going to see some major shakeups because the culture is not something you can just build in one season, but the Bears are going to have to do their best to try to find an identity and build a culture in this offseason with whatever the head coaching or if there is any GM changes, because there's a lot of pressure on you to do something. And it's only going to get harder with this division because the Vikings didn't take a step back.
I know we've asked this question.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've answered it. But out of the guys that they have requested to meet with, who do you want?
I guess.
You want the names?
No, I mean it's either Vrabel or Flores, just without really being a strong football analytics guy when it comes to coordinators and things like that. I would say either the two of them. I mean the Lions DC guy. I think I think they said it's pretty much like almost guaranteed he's going to end up in New Orleans.
Aaron Klein.
Yeah, I think that's like the rumor mill is spitting out that he's like the favorite to land the job in New Orleans. For me, like I don't think you need an offensive guy. I don't think it matters what they coached. Offense, defense, special teams. It doesn't matter. What you need, I'm tired of hearing the word, but you need somebody that's going to hold players accountable.
You need a leader of men.
But you don't even need a leader of men because, like, I hate that phrase because, like, I know what you're saying, but, like, I hate the phrase because some of the dumbest battles in history had leaders of men that brought them to the end. Like, it's the leader of men thing is dumb because you can make the argument that Matt Eberflus was the leader of men. They played for him. It wasn't, until all the mistakes started happening this year that they give up on him. But they go watch Hard Knocks. They were all in on him. They liked him. They loved him. Whether or not they thought he was a great football coach is a different story. But they loved him. They went to battle for him. He led them. He led 53 men. You don't need a leader of men. You need somebody who's not afraid to be the bad guy. Is what you need. You need a parent. You need a father. You need somebody who's not afraid of being hated. You need somebody who's not afraid of standing up for the team to ownership and standing up to the team for ownership.
Because there's no way Vrabel doesn't go to the Patriots.
Right. I mean, Vrabel's going to go to the Patriots. I don't think the Bears are going to hire a Brian Flores because the Bears don't hire people that have any chance of being bigger than the logo. I've said this before. I love the whole idea of taking a chance on a young, hot coordinator because the young, hot coordinators are who end up being great coaches one day, whether it's, being a special teams coach like Jim Harbaugh or being a quarterbacks coach like Andy Reid or, Mike Tomlin or whatever. Like, they all have to start somewhere. All these great head coaches were all something at some point. But the Bears are not good at evaluating talent at almost any end of the spectrum. The Ben Johnson thing, I hope I'm wrong for his sake. I don't have anything against Ben Johnson other than him just being a Lions coach. But to me, the Brad Holmes is the guy who's completely in charge of the personnel in that place. He's the guy who's put that team together. Ownership is not afraid to spend money. Dan Campbell is a fearless head coach that could lead any group of people to do anything. Now, you're not going to have any of those guys. You're going to have an owner who doesn't like to spend money. You're going to have a GM that has proven he doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to signing players. You're going to be the Dan Campbell. Can you be that guy? Who knows? but you're also not going to have 5 all-pro caliber offensive linemen. You're going to be taking a downgrade in tight end, a downgrade in wide receiver 1, a massive downgrade in wide receiver 2, a downgrade in quarterback, and a downgrade in your overall defense. Now, maybe he can make something, maybe he can polish the turd that is the Chicago Bears and make them into something good. Maybe he can. I don't really have the patience anymore to find out. I'd rather
I
have
will say
someone
this,
come in.
though.
Hmm?
I will say this. Caleb got a bad rap this year.
He didn't get a bad rap, Kyle. He did not get a bad rap. And I don't think he's a bust by any stretch of the imagination. I think that he showed a lot of flashes of being really good, and I think that poor coaching definitely took away from the aura that could have been him, because if you go back and you look at it, the game they lost against Green Bay, he led them down the field for a game-winning field goal attempt, and then bad blocking on the offensive line and bad coaching in the blocking scheme led to a blocked extra point or a blocked field goal. He led the team down the field for what should have been the game-winning drive against Washington, and then a botched defense gave up that one. And he led the team down the field to score against Indianapolis, and Shane Waldron decided to run a offensive guard fullback sneak for the win, and they fumbled the ball away. So he should have, as a rookie, had 4 game-winning drives, but you can't play off of what should have been, because if
Did
you're
you
going to
count
go
the
off
last
of,
one?
huh?
Did you count the last one?
Well, and then he had the one against the Packers.
So it would have been 5, right?
It would have been 4 that I counted. But you go back and today, you can't nitpick, because we're in today's NFL and everything's measured by super analytics across all the sports. You go back, you take Michael Penix out of the equation because he played 3 games. You take the 4 starting rookie quarterbacks that played meaningful football this year: Drake May, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was dead last in accuracy. He was dead last in sack rate. He was dead last in sack avoidance rate. He was dead last in deep ball accuracy. He was dead last in a bunch of other advanced metrics, things that, you can say they're advanced metrics, but they are what they are. They're numbers that mean something. He threw for some yards. He threw for some touchdowns. He didn't throw picks. The one thing I thought going into this season was, I don't care if Caleb Williams throws 30 touchdowns and 40 interceptions, because interceptions can be fixed. What is really hard to fix is becoming a more accurate quarterback. What is very hard to fix is getting rid of the ball faster and making quicker decisions. Now, maybe the loss of Keenan Allen this offseason gives them one less target to really look at, and so maybe that helps them a little bit, because maybe there was a little pressure, internally to, oh, Keenan Allen's my boy, but Roma Dunze's my boy, and I want DJ Moore to be happy, and I want to try to get Cole Kmet involved, and DeAndre Swift's running a route. Like, maybe it was too many targets for a rookie quarterback. Maybe it was. Who knows? I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever going to come out and say that. But you go out and you look at it, he was sacked 68, 69 times on the season. I'd be willing to bet if you went and you watched the film from every sack consecutively, at least half of them are on him. So did he have a bad year? No, he didn't have a bad year. But was he the best rookie quarterback? No. Was he the second best? No. I mean, you could argue that he wasn't even third best. I mean, do I think the Bears would take him 1-1 again if the draft happened today? I do. Because I think the things he did show were kind of like immeasurable talents. There was the one play he had earlier in the year where he, stiff-armed the defensive end out of the way, scrambled away from a blitzing linebacker, and threw the ball cross-body while jumping out of bounds to hit a streaking DeAndre Swift up the sideline for like a 50-yard gain. Like, you can't teach that. That's just something you can do or you can't.
Right.
Like, and who knows? Like I said, we'll see. I'm not calling him a bust or anything. He didn't have a terrible year. But the things he has to fix are not easy fixes. So the question then becomes, is this who he is, or can he get better?
Yeah.
Those are the questions you have to ask. So I don't think he got a bad rap, Kyle. I mean, I think what it was is, I think it's less about him getting a bad rap, and I think it's just more about he played for a storied franchise in a major market as the number one overall pick in what was being deemed the best offensive situation for a rookie quarterback to ever come into. So everything he did was examined under a microscope because it was hyped. I think if the Bears passed on Caleb Williams and picked Jaden Daniels or picked Drake May, I think maybe it's a little less observed. But also, anybody who thinks Jaden Daniels or Drake May would have had this, or I mean, Bo Nix would have had the seasons they had in a Bears uniform, don't watch football.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Everything is situational.
The Bears they're a bad team. They're a bad organization, and there's more and more stuff coming out from ex-players about how the culture sucks, and you have an owner who's more concerned with if there's going to be any swearing on Hard Knocks than he does with the cap. It's rough. It's rough sledding down there at Hallis Hall.
Cameron Diaz still got it.
Love that
thinking
segue.
that myself.
Ooh, Maxine.
I've been here for like 10 minutes.
Oh, just waiting in the weeds.
Well, I was just listening. Paul was making some good points.
He joined right when Kyle asked me. Kyle kind of asked me about the Bears. Mock, do you care to put a bow on your feelings towards the Giants season? That's what we were doing.
The Giants. I mean, we kind of talked about it in the group chat today. They weren't a fun team to watch at all year.
That's not true. They were fun to watch against Indianapolis.
It's just of all the bad teams, and I mean, granted, I didn't watch a lot of Titans football, but the Giants were just unwatchable every week. It was just horrible, and the Daniel Jones thing is what it is. He didn't pan out. They moved on, and there's not much else to really say.
Now they have to make a decision.
Yeah, and I do think they're going to draft a quarterback, and I think if they need to do it, whoever they decide is their guy, they'll sell out to either trade up if they have, or do whatever they have to do to get him. I really don't think they're going to go sign a guy because we were talking about Sam Darnold. I don't think they're going to go sign Sam Darnold.
So it's funny you say that. I don't think they're going to sign Sam Darnold either. But I was listening to a thing today about the Giants, and there was this one guy posed a question. It's very obviously all the pieces fall in place kind of thing. But he was stating this thing in his mind, because the way that they did the press conference about how they weren't they weren't pleased with where the team's at, but they're not getting rid of these guys kind of thing. Where he's wondering if they kind of are giving these guys one more year to see what they can do, not draft the quarterback this year, but trade back in the draft, sign a quarterback, and whether it's and I'm not saying it to be a dick, but a Jimmy Garoppolo or a Jameis Winston, a quarterback that obviously on paper is probably not going to win you the Super Bowl, but at least you're showing the fans hey, we're bringing in a comparable arm talent. We're not just going to go out and we're not just going to ride Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock for a full year.
Yeah.
And then kind of give them the option going into the following year when there is a better draft, being okay, if we want to, we can start completely over. If we like what these two guys did this year with this next group of players and they take the next step and stuff, we let them make the decision kind of thing. Because one thing I'm terrified of the Giants is keeping these guys in what seemed like kind of a non-committal way. They were committed to keeping them, but I'm just the way that the whole thing went, it felt very
yeah,
we're just doing this because I fear for them falling right into the Bears trap, which is keeping them, drafting Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, having a terrible fucking year next year, and then firing them.
So that's my thing too. If they're gonna keep them and let them draft the quarterback,
Give them 4 years.
They got to stay for 3-4 years, whatever it is. because then they fall into that sinkhole, and
That's just how it works.
is what it is.
That's the recipe. You have to do it that way if you're going to go that route.
That's why I don't think that they're going to draft a quarterback, because the owner doesn't know, and he wants to be heavily involved.
Yeah, he needs to take a step back. That I'll never understand that with these owners. Like, you see some that are just heavily involved. You know, like the Falcons guy was.
One more time,
Jones, you
Maka.
got the merit, like
One more time, Mark.
football guy. Like, you're just not. Sorry, you see these owners sometimes that just get so overly involved. You know, you got what's his name, Mark Davis with the Raiders, the Arthur Blank, Jerry Jones, like these guys that are just waiting. You're not a football guy. Like, you're a rich guy that owns a team. You hire the football guys to do football things. Like, let them do it. You know, it doesn't make sense why they get so heavily involved and then just wonder why things don't work. It's like, well, you're telling us what to do and you won't let us do what we want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The only problem, and I mean, Paul, I mean, same boat with us, is if the Giants don't draft a quarterback, who, regardless of who they go out and sign, we're pretty much just committing to another bad year before a snap is taken in the season. And I don't know how the Giants would survive like an off season of just the media lighting them up again. Like, I don't think they're not going to have the luxury to sit and wait another year, especially with how it went with Barkley, how Hard Knocks went. Like, the way things stacked up, I don't think they're going to have that luxury of, you know, let's wait one more year. I don't think they're going to get that.
Right, and that's why, like, it's tough because, like, I don't know, like, I don't really understand what their game plan is going to be. Because, like, I don't see the Giants being in on either of these quarterbacks, especially, like, now, given this, like, and I'm not saying that the Giants made a mistake, because, Mock, I'm right there with you. Like, there was a whole thing going on about, like, oh, the Bears, you know, they were so stoked about beating their rivals that they went from the 7th pick to the 10th pick. Who gives a fuck? You beat the Packers. I don't give a fuck.
I
don't care if they
hate
drop
that whole argument so much.
I don't care if
I
they
hate
like.
it.
Massey asked me Massey asked me a couple weeks ago, like, what I would give up to beat the Packers this season. The last time they played them, I said, Massey, if beating the Packers both games this season meant Caleb Williams wasn't picking and Caleb Williams was going to a different team at the end of the season and the Bears forfeited all their draft picks, I'm still beating the Packers. That means more to me than anything.
It's just I hate, and it's a fan mentality because the fans are going to be there next year.
Right.
I couldn't imagine a coach walking into, or an owner walking into a locker room and be like, hey, we're going to go out there and lose today. We need you guys to go out there and really stink it up.
Right.
But,
I mean, granted, the Giants are going to do that all on their own.
Right.
They don't need the motivation.
So, like, not to shit on them for winning, but, like, the win did kind of fuck up their thing, only because, only from the standpoint of there's, like, quote-unquote, 2 quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not they go 1-2 is a totally different question. Now, I personally, you know, the Titans have to take a quarterback, I feel like. And I feel like the Browns don't have a choice but to take a quarterback because they just can't afford a backup. They can't. The next year, like, there was something like coming out, like the projected salary cap next year combined with the Browns roster, combined with what, like, they picked a player. They actually picked Drew Lock. Like, what Drew Lock would be projected to make as a free agent next year. The Browns can't afford Drew Lock as a backup quarterback. Like, they can't afford it.
Yeah, they're in a negative.
So, like, I think they're gonna have to draft a quarterback because the Deshaun Watson thing, not only is he bad, but now he just suffered a massive setback in his Achilles rupture. So he might not even be ready to go week 1.
And you can't, as the Browns, like, head coach who's trying to keep his job for next year, he can't roll out that Thompson Robinson kid.
No.
Because
I tell you, I am very surprised that Stefanski. I'm very happy because the Browns organization doesn't do many things right. I mean, you just got to think about how they're kicking themselves for blackballing Baker Mayfield for Deshaun Watson. How'd that work out?
Yep.
But like the one thing that they did right was like I thought for sure that they were going to just blame everything on Stefanski and fire him. And if they did that, that was the answer to your earlier question, Kyle. If Kevin Stefanski became available, that guy, give me him.
yeah, he's a good coach.
He's a great coach.
He's just terrible roster.
Yeah. It's also kind of weird too that the Bengals fired everybody but Taylor, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like everybody, like all the coordinators, all the position coaches, all got canned this morning.
Did the offensive coordinator get canned?
I think everybody got canned. I think they cleaned house outside, except for Taylor.
Even still, like it's not really the defensive coordinator's fault that the front office doesn't give a fuck about the defense. And if you sign T. Higgins, you're saying the same shit because you're not going to be able to bring back Hendricks.
No, it's one of those things. You can't sign Higgins, unfortunately. You just can't.
I think they are, aren't they?
I mean, if they are, I didn't hear it.
Like, Joe Burrow's really advocating for it, but you can't spend more on the offensive side of the ball. You got to fix that defense. You can't draft anybody. Every time you draft a defensive player, they just fucking die. Like, when's the last time they hit on a defensive player?
Yeah, but Trey Hendrickson, right?
No, they signed him.
Oh,
He came over from the Saints.
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where like they're not going to fix the defense in one off season. So it might be one of those things where like the offense showed us this year that they're able to compete like alone. Like the offense is so good by itself that it can almost make the playoffs. That you sign T. Higgins and you just focus entirely what you have left in cap on defense and drafts and draft capital.
They still haven't paid Chase that either.
I know, but there's one thing that's I stand by that Massey will never agree with. It's that the fantasy cap is a myth. It's so manipulatable that it's not even funny.
Except if you're the Saints.
Right.
Because the other thing too is like they can do the reverse Daniel Jones contract with both Burrow or both Chase and Higgins. They can sign Higgins to a 2-year deal and Chase to a 4-year deal, where next year they're only making like $15 million, and then the last year of the deal they're making like $30 million, and then figure it out when you get to it. And then with Chase you can always do it with the mindset too, like, hey, this is what we're going to offer you. We're going to backload it, and then at the end of the contract, we obviously are probably going to want to extend you. And if they do extend them, they can turn it into signing bonuses and push it to the end of the contract. So, like, that's what I'm saying. It's manipulatable. You know what I mean? Like, I think they have to. I think they have to sign them both. I don't think they have a choice.
I think Burrow will take whatever cut he needs to. He'll do whatever to keep Higgins.
Unless the Patriots offer him a fucking bag.
But I think the Bengals will. I mean, really, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think T. Higgins is going to go somewhere where he can't win, because it's just like I think I don't think the Patriots are going to be able to offer him enough more money to go to a place where he knows he's going to lose. Like if the Chiefs called, different story. You know what I mean? Or like if and the other thing too is, who knows? Maybe the Bengals do could you imagine the Bengals do a sign and trade and they trade T. Higgins for fucking Tyreek Hill?
Yuck.
Kendall, you're just saying yuck because then you can't draft Tyreek Hill next year.
Exactly.
I said Tyreek Hill to the fucking Chargers would be elite.
Now, is he under contract or is he a free agent?
I think he's in a contract.
If he's in a contract, Jim Harbaugh's not trading for him. Jim Harbaugh's
No,
not.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, that would be
Yeah,
a sick pairing.
yeah. You know where he's going,
Yeah, back to fucking Kansas City, probably.
or Baltimore.
Dallas.
There you go.
They don't
Trade
have state tax there.
Trade Dak for Tyreek Hill.
Make
That'd be
Tua play
something.
running back.
That's a bad idea. I think the safest bet for Tua is for him to just play guardian cap. He's just the guardian cap. That's just what he is. He's just foam.
Dolphins are in a weird spot too.
Yeah, Dolphins are in the same spot, like like fucking middling team with no money. The
Yeah,
thing that's always the thing to me is, and I would love, I'd love to have like an actual like expert. Like I know we can all research it, and Massey's knows the ins and outs of these things pretty well, but like I'd love to sit down with like an actual expert, because there's one thing about the NFL that's always bothered me more than anything, and it's the dead money. The thing I don't understand is if the Chicago Bears, because there was a lot of people that were calling in during the course of the season to this radio station I listened to saying that the Bears should trade DJ Moore because they didn't like his attitude and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And the radio hosts were saying they're not going to trade DJ Moore this offseason because if they trade DJ Moore, they're going to owe him like $40 million in dead money. Why is it if they trade him, if a team goes, hey, we'll give you a third for DJ Moore, why do the Bears owe him anything?
Yeah,
I don't understand
it either.
It doesn't make any sense. If they call, like, I understand there's like all these like, oh, if you cut before this day and this crap and all that, okay, fine, whatever, that's all fine. But like, if the Giants call the Chicago Bears tomorrow and go, hey, we'll give you a third-round pick for DJ Moore, and the Bears go, okay, and you're going to take the whole contract, and the Giants go, yep, we're fine with it. We need a wide receiver too. We want to make our rookie quarterback have weapons to throw to. Okay, no problem. Why are they entitled to spend to pay any of that money? It doesn't make any sense.
So I also I don't know if they have to physically pay it. It may just be a thing where to avoid a team like fully dumping the salary they committed to. Like I think it's still you're on the hook for something. They may not be physically paying it, but I think it just kills the money off your cap.
Well, so it kills the cap, but like the signing bonuses don't. Or no, because it's dead money. So the dead money goes against the cap.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So like say like Daniel Jones, right? If the Giants traded him instead of cutting him, I think whatever he was left to be owed becomes like dead money. So like they may not be the one physically paying it because I think the trading team is, but that number still might hit against their cap because otherwise, if you sign a big name guy and you can't cut him for whatever, and you trade, a team could be like, oh yeah, trade him for whatever, we'll eat the salary and give a lesser pick, whatever. I think it deters like just a salary dump.
So
at least that's kind of that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Could be completely wrong.
So like from what I read like earlier today, it was like basically like like you see it all the time. So like let's say the Bears signed, I don't remember what the contract, but let's say the Bears signed DJ Moore to a 5-year deal for $100 million with $65 million guaranteed, right?
Yep.
If we were to, so this is the first year of that deal. So if we trade him to the Giants, let's just say he's making, just for math's sake, he's making an even $20 million a year, right? If we trade him to the Giants right now, there's still $45 million in guaranteed money that we have to pay him because we guaranteed it. I think I don't know if it's like what happens is like when a contract is traded, if like the guarantee part of it goes away, so like you guys can cut them and it costs you nothing, kind of thing. I don't know how it works, but like that's what the like from what I read, like any guaranteed money that's left on the deal is what's calculated as dead cap, and it counts against your cap. But like if like so like that's the whole thing is like so like let's just say we trade DJ Moore, he's still owed what did I say 65 million guaranteed, so $45 million. Like somebody's paying it, right? Like he's not just not getting $45 million. And if it's $45 million counting against our cap, I would imagine the Giants aren't paying it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure.
So like
and a lot of times when anything is ever being discussed with the cap, they could tell me whatever they want. They're like, no, we converted. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I can't understand it for the life of me.
But it just to me it doesn't. To me, the thing is like it doesn't make sense to me.
It's all fake. It's all fake money.
Well, that is kind of true.
Yeah, I don't.
So who are the Saints paying?
Everyone.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably a majority of stuff of like not. I don't want to say deferred money. It's not the right thing to say, but I'm sure there's just bad deals that are screwing them over now.
That roster's like so bad.
I somehow feel Michael Thomas is owed money somehow.
It's got to be going to their offensive line.
Well, I mean, what do they? Don't they have Tyrann Mathieu? What are they paying him?
It can't be too much.
I mean, they signed him right after a Super Bowl, so
Okay.
probably is.
All right, I think I kind of understand it here. All right, so if I'm understanding this correctly, if not, strike me down, Mass. So let's go back to my example. The Chicago Bears signed DJ Moore to a 5-year $100 million deal, 65 guaranteed at 20 a year flat. We cut him, or we trade him to the Giants after 1 year. The Giants now basically have DJ Moore on a 4-year, $80 million deal with nothing guaranteed. And then, they have him on a 4-year, $80 million deal with $45 million of it guaranteed. So you guys are still paying the remaining 80. The dead money is not actual money going to anybody. It's just it comes off of our cap, so that we can't sign a player to a huge contract, trade them, and then sign more players. So you can't sign. So let's just say for haha's sake, it's the end of the 5th year. The Giants go, you know what? We like Malik Neighbors, but we're gonna have to tear this whole thing down in a year anyway. Let's appease him. Let's sign him to a 5-year, $100 million deal, $100 million guaranteed, and then we'll just trade him in a year because he's already inked to a 5-year deal. So whatever team gets him is going to get him for 4 years, and they'll be more inclined to trade us what we want for him, kind of thing, because you're getting him for 4 years, and then just go out and have $80 million in free cap space to work with. That's not how that works. So, the dead money is not money owed to the player. It's just money that comes off of your cap so that you, are basically penalized for getting rid of the player you signed all that money.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
The problem is I'm just an idiot. That's the problem. I get it.
It doesn't make sense, but it does. I think it's just one of those things. Let's just say the Bears cut DJ Moore right now. They owe him $20 million this year. Now it's just one of those things where it's okay, you owe him the guaranteed money is no longer part of the cap. It's just cash that you owe him. But it in order to not give you the unfair advantage of having $20 million free dollars that you should have had by keeping him, it still counts against your cap so that you're not given 20 million. Because then it would be like you have whatever the cap number is plus 20 million more dollars because you just cut the guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kyle and Mock?
I guess.
think you got it.
I just think it's like to not
Is
create.
this going to be on the quiz?
It is. It is going to be on the quiz. Actually, I played this
Shit.
game tonight. Speaking of quiz, it's called Uzzle. I played this game tonight with the girls that they got yesterday. I would really like to see Kyle play this game because I just think he would get real mad.
Well, what happens?
So you basically just have like these 2x2 blocks, right? And you get 5 of them, and everybody gets 5 blocks, and they all have different like sticker configurations on them. But as long as you have 1 through 5, like you can make any of the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So they have different colored symbols on them, and you're given a card that has basically like a layout, like a shape layout, and the colors per like cube. So like, let's just say it's like a 2x4, and it's like green, blue, green, orange, red, green, green, orange, red. You know what I mean? And you have to like mix the pieces around until you can formulate the thing, and it's the first one to get done wins.
Mm-hmm.
And man, is it frustrating because you'll have like 3 cubes that have a green red on it, so you'll just lock one in and then be like, oh, but the one I have doesn't have this other thing on it, and it, you just get real mad a bunch.
Souls, want to give it a shot?
I don't even understand it.
Sounds like he's in.
So that side note, they just showed Topanga on Monday Night Raw. That was
Oh,
cool.
nice. You mean the ABC version of Trish Stratus?
They were also using the old Raw theme song, which is pretty sick.
Which one?
The intro to Boy Meets World.
That'd be so fun. The one from like
I'll be right back.
2004.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
I believe it was by Rev Theory.
That sounds right.
So, Kendall, so you know, Roman Reigns won the Ulalapa back.
Okay. Now, that was like a full bloodline match, or was it a one-on-one?
101, but people interfered. But Roman Reigns ended up winning.
It was essentially what his WrestleMania match with Cody Rhodes was.
Also, this bitch doing the announcing looks like that doll from Rugrats.
That's pretty funny.
So they brought Lillian Garcia back. I don't know what she's doing.
Yeah, she pops in and out. Do you think you could get like Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan just be like, hey, here's a butt off. Everyone vote.
That'd be cool. Would be in
Like for my next trick.
Rhea Ripley's right arm bigger than her left arm. I like that.
like
I
your
like that.
like your asymmetrical arms.
I like it.
John Cena entered the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, he's going.
You think he wins it?
I think he comes close if he doesn't.
Yeah.
I just hope this whole thing, like, I'm excited for it. I just hope it's not like painfully predictable, like the whole thing.
I do think it's gonna end with him winning one more title.
To break the record.
Yeah, because he needs one more championship reign to beat Ric Flair, and I don't know if it might be it'll either be his last match and then he'll like come on and be like, oh, here, or
Well, he's in the whole year, right?
he said this year is gonna be like his farewell tour.
Yeah, but I hope for the booking purposes, I hope he does like this year, but it wraps around into WrestleMania because I just feel like it'd be anticlimactic. Like come December 2025, it's just over. You know what I mean?
It'll end up being some other event, but I have a feeling like he'll win the title, have like a month or 2 long reign, and his last match will be him losing the title.
It's a Grayson Waller.
That would be hilarious.
I left for like 2 minutes. You guys started talking about wrestling.
Oh, we're talking about Topanga and just kind of where we ended up.
They were filling me in on what's happening.
Gotcha. Oh, Kyle, did you see the clause that they put in Derrick Rose's jersey retirement?
But
So if PJ Brown ends up, or PJ Brown, Jesus Christ, if PJ Rose ever ends up being a Bull, he'll be allowed to wear his dad's number.
nice. It'd be cooler for PJ Brown though.
No, he was a Bull and he sucked.
Be a weird thing. Hey, if PJ Brown comes back, he's wearing your number.
Did you guys see the fucking Georgia alumni fuck up their jersey swap yesterday?
No.
So Brock Bowers and Lad McConkey, two Georgia players, went to do a jersey swap, and then they posed for the picture holding their own jerseys. Pretty big fan of that.
We were talking about if John Cena's going to win the Royal Rumble.
Is he entered in it?
He said he's in.
I mean, who's the champion now? Cody?
Yeah.
You got Cody and Gunther.
I could totally see Cena winning it, going on a USA over whatever country Gunther's from, like saying
Really Rocky Ford here.
exactly. Well, you know, or just Hulk Hogan, Iron Sheik, you know, and win the title at WrestleMania and then drop it back to Roman Reigns at SummerSlam.
So I would say my prediction is I do think he's going to get another title run, but I think it'll be towards the end because he said like December is going to be his last match. So I think he'll win it in like October, and then his last match he'll lose it to. Kyle said Grayson Waller.
All right, hold on. So I'd like to.
So funny.
I'd like to amend it.
He's going to win the women's title.
Could you imagine? All right. Randy Orton wins the Royal Rumble so that he can become, because he's won what, 2 or 3?
Orton,
2.
So he'll win a 3rd Royal Rumble so he can join Stone Cold. Because that was like a whole thing last year, wasn't it? Like, oh, he should win it for that reason.
Yeah, I kind of recall.
I'm not sure. I'm not going to tell you I can't remember, but I don't know.
So if John Cena were to win the Royal Rumble, he would also have 3. But I think Randy Orton wins it. Randy Orton wins the title at WrestleMania, holds it for a little while. John Cena wins Money in the Bank, cashes in, fights Randy Orton, revive that old classic one last time. Then he's the champion until December, and then he loses it at, you know, whatever the Christmas special they run in Dubai is. He loses it to Alexa Bliss, who then immediately has to drop the title because a OnlyFans video came out of her and WWE fired her.
I mean, that part is kind of cool.
Well, the OnlyFans video is just, unfortunately, the OnlyFans is just a great colleague pegging Ryan Cabrera, and she's just in the video, but she's fully clothed.
Not great.
It's like we can't be associated with this.
Yeah, you know what the bummer is? Kendall would still have to rub one out to it.
Nah.
So tonight's like the launch on Netflix, and I've been kind of curious, like if it'll get more, you know, not TV 14.
Mm-hmm.
And then right out of the gate, Rock said this is bullshit, and I was like, all right, cool. So it's about time we bring back like the bra and panties match. This is the time.
I think instead we need to start having like the OnlyFans fanfics match.
That'd be cool. I wish that could become a requirement. Okay, you got to show a little skin.
Yeah.
They already
Would
do.
be cool.
No. More.
No, you're not talking about the same thing. Come on, man. Get on the same page.
Right, we see where you're at, but we're looking more NC-17.
Who seems more fun? Rhea Ripley or Liv Morgan?
My gut says Liv, but I don't know. Could be recency bias.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Why don't you send her a direct message on X, see if she answers. We could do it from the show account. I think we're giving up on those feuds, and I think it's time to be asking for lewd photos.
Mark's just mad that you never got Michael Bennett to hate him.
Well, I reached out to Robinson Cano once too. He didn't answer.
And Michael Bennett.
Called out Michael Bennett. He didn't answer either.
I think the problem is you got to go more obscure.
Call out Kendall.
What's that?
I said he should call out Kendall.
Could do that. I might respond.
You might respond. What a bad friend.
Well, depends what the call out is.
Kyle,
Yes.
Zach Levine put Wemby on skates.
Zach Levine got his trade assets up.
Yes, sir.
If they decide to fucking trade him.
Oh, I would also like to make a request for 2025.
Shoot.
What's up?
I'd like to make a request that all white women that think just bending their knees and like squatting up and down is the same as like the Latina girls that twerk. It's not the same. Can you stop doing it? Watching you deadlift your own body weight is not entertaining.
I tell you, there's a lot of YouTube people I find insufferable. This Insane Shane kid is pretty cool.
So
Oh,
funny.
is that the mushroom guy or the marshmallow guy?
Yeah,
Nice.
he does some pretty funny stuff.
He gets hit in the nuts a lot.
Dude, that on dodgeball game, that makes
Oh,
me
yeah.
laugh so hard.
I don't think I could play it.
That's a good one. And then when they do the duck and dodge or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that one's pretty good. Guy got hit right in the shaft with a pickle.
Mock, you think you could do the undodgeball?
I would not be able to handle it. And it's
Fair.
mostly because even if there's a thought that someone's going to throw something at me, it makes me really unhappy.
Makes me really unhappy.
I
That was wild.
hate it. Plus, like, to be blindfolded and just take, like, a Nerf football to the nads sounds terrible.
We should play.
So, Mock,
Yeah.
you want to make both. You want to make. I mean, Kendall and Kyle, I think would just feel left out, but I don't think they would really care. You want to make Massey really mad?
Always.
All right. So, I need you to take a Friday off work in the fall.
Just any Friday?
Not any Friday, a specific Friday that I won't know the date of for a little while. But what we're going to do is we're going to catch an early flight. We're going to catch a real early flight, like 6 a.m. out of Bradley or Avello if they have it. We're going to fly to Peoria, right? Are you in so far?
I'm listening.
We're going to grab a hotel. We're going to go play the Lake Eureka disc golf course. Then we're going to crash the hotel Friday night. Saturday, we're going to wake up. We're going to go early, play around at Lake Eureka again, grab lunch. Then we're going to drive about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours northwest, play a disc golf course on the way somewhere in that trip, then check into a hotel, and then Sunday morning, wake up, go to Soldier Field, watch the Bears and the Giants play, then catch a flight home from O'Hare that night.
Listen, this all sounds great.
So we'll go Friday morning, we'll play Ledgestone twice, then we'll play a random ass course, then we'll go to the Bears Giants game on Sunday, and then we'll fly home that night. Because you got to figure the Bears Giants game's going to be at 1. No one wants to watch.
What if they're on Monday night?
That's not going to be a Monday night game.
If they're on Monday night, Kyle, first of all, let's be real. That's probably a Thursday night game. If they're on Monday night, I feel bad for whatever the population of people who watch football is.
It could happen.
I tell you what, though,
bad Monday night games this year.
Yeah, but that was because of the way that things like played out. Like, here, let's go back and look at it. But real quick, while I'm looking this up, Mark, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Because I thought this was the funniest narrative in all of football that was going on the last, 6 weeks, which was that the Giants should fire Daboll and then hire Joe Kelly, the Bills' offensive coordinator. I mean, how fucking funny would that have been, though?
We're going to try it one more time.
All right, Kyle.
Run it back.
Here we go, Kyle. I'm rebuttaling with you now. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's count what should have been wins that were duds and what were going to be duds. All right, week 1, San Fran Jets. Yes, we all knew the Jets weren't going to be amazingly Super Bowl great, but everybody thought they were going to be better than they were.
Yes.
Week two, Falcons Eagles. Again, the Falcons were shit for the majority of the year. It ended up being a great game. But that should have been a great game, and it was 22-21. Week 3 was I think a dud in most people's eyes. Buffalo and Jacksonville. That didn't need to happen. Also, week 3 on the doubleheader was Washington and Bengals. I mean, I think obviously most people would have preferred to see Bengals Buffalo, and then Jacksonville Washington. But obviously you can't have that. But that's still a good matchup. Rookie quarterback, rebuilding team against a juggernaut. Okay. Week 4, I'll give you the dud, Tennessee and Miami. That's fair. Also, week 4, doubleheader, Seattle, Detroit. That's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
On paper going into the season, good game. Week 5, New Orleans, Kansas City. Nobody wanted to see that game at all. That game should have been played on Saturday at 5 a.m. Week 6, Buffalo Jets. Again, was a good game. Buffalo won by 3. Week 7, Tampa Bay, Baltimore. Good game. Also, week 7, Chargers, Cardinals. Week 8 was the Giants-Pittsburgh game. That was a weird one. Not really sure why that one made the docket as a Monday night game from kind of both standpoints, because the Steelers weren't really projected to be great. Week 9, Tampa, Kansas City, good game. Week 10, Miami, Rams, good game. Week 11, Chargers, Texans, Dallas. That should have been a good game if the Dallas team was fully healthy. Dallas probably would have been in that game, especially given what Houston's defenses kind of look like this year, a little lackluster. Baltimore and Chargers, good game. Browns, Broncos, not necessarily a good game, but equal playing field. Bengals, Cowboys, again, should have been a decent game because the Cowboys should have been better, and the Bengals,
actually, that game
was good.
Cowboys should have won.
Yeah. Bears, Vikings. That one I kind of see just because you had Caleb Williams, and the Vikings were a lot better than people thought they'd be, but I think a lot of people also thought J.J. McCarthy would be starting by that point.
Right.
Falcons, Raiders, that was just, hey, we need to get the Raiders a game. Saints, Packers, not really sure. And then San Fran and Detroit. So, Kyle, I'm gonna disagree with you. I think most of the Monday Nighters, based on how the season should have gone in the preseason, most of them would have been bangers. But that's just how it goes.
But they might do it.
I tell you, it would actually. You know why they might do it is because if Shedeur Sanders becomes a Giant, that would be the perfect reason. Caleb Williams in his sophomore year versus Shedeur Sanders. Oh my God, Shedeur Sanders goes to the Giants and Dion becomes the Bears head coach. I could write the NFL.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah,
The American Badass is back.
I don't have Netflix.
Wish I could hear this,
Kyle, you got to turn your volume up.
but I can't because then I'll ruin the show.
See, the trick is I wear 2 different headphones, and at times it's terrible, but right now it's all right.
One for the porn, one for the friends.
I wish I had a third one.
Kind of
Oh, it's going to be hilarious if he just drove out to then leave.
Or if he drove out to Animals by Nickelback.
Well, he came out to Limp Bizkit. Oh, he came out to talk to Rhea Ripley. And the cameraman is doing the Lord's work right now.
Was he?
There you go.
Yes, he is.
Those screen
He
grabs.
He literally
Man,
just
Jer-
drove out and left.
Jerry Jones is about to be so mad.
Why?
'Cause Dallas is going to have to pay a tampering fine.
For what?
Micah Parsons has been just basically tweeting nonstop that Tyreek Hill would be a great combination alongside CeeDee Lamb. And apparently, like, just tweeting stuff like that can get you tampering fines in the NFL now.
Yeah, I don't think like the players or anyone can do that.
Oh, that's a good Nature's Wild video, Mock.
Yeah.
Yeah, a raccoon came into a horse pen and like went to bite one of the foals, and a horse came over and kicked its head right off of its body.
Sick.
Can you hear what I said earlier?
One more time.
Rhea Ripley beat Liv Morgan.
Was it for a belt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes
Liv
sense.
Morgan had her run.
Yeah, and you know, you
And
figure this is a
Dom-
big show. Makes sense.
Dom wanted to go back to Rhea for a second.
Talk about a hub video that would get some views.
Maron. I have to take a day off work.
I would call out of work, and by call out of work I mean I just wouldn't go.
Dom lives a good life.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that guy's got a real tough day at work, huh?
Yeah, and on top of that, he's rocking the hair and the stash.
And
Look,
I
he's
think
doing
I
his
was thinking about this
outfits
the other day. I
okay.
think you'd be a prime mustache guy.
You know, I think if it wasn't for the glasses, I'd agree. It's the glasses that really just puts the.
I think you'd be all right. I really was thinking. I almost called you to tell you this the other day.
No, call anyway. Save it.
I was thinking about it. I was like, because we were driving up to that wedding on Saturday, and I made the joke that I was going to just start really rocking a mustache, and I was like, Kendall would have a nice mustache.
I suffer from not great facial hair. Like I think the second beard run was actually okay, but I don't know. I've had a couple of really bad goatees, and the mustaches
What
are
if we
kind
kind of tattoo it in?
There you go.
Oh, that's different.
Although Kendall, it would be hilarious if you just started wearing a fake mustache all the time.
like a
Oh,
obviously fake one.
guys, we totally messed up.
What?
Kyle, I would like to tell you I appreciate you coming on the show today.
It's January 6th.
It's Three Kings Day, Kyle. It's your national holiday.
Oh yeah.
That's so funny.
You know what? You know what sucks? A lady at
That-
work said that today was Three Kings Day. It's 7:30 this morning, and I meant to send that in the group chat, and I fucking forgot.
That's why
God
I'm
damn
here.
it!
Hey, Kyle, which college team won at the NFL level the most this year?
Tijuana State.
With
No.
college team?
Yeah, what college team had the most success at the NFL level this year?
The Tijuana State and Mezcals.
LSU?
Yeah, big time. LSU. You ready for the LSU resume for Rookie of the Year candidacy?
Let's hear it.
Jaden Daniels, 3,568 passing yards, 891 rushing yards, 31 total touchdowns. Malik Neighbors, 109 receptions for 1,204 yards and 7 touchdowns. And Brian Thomas Jr., 87 receptions for 1,282 yards and 10 touchdowns. Pretty good showing from the LSU boys there, huh?
I tell you,
Yeah,
you know
we should've
what's
had him.
wild?
The receptions from Malik Neighbors, all time Giants leader, because that is. Here's the thing: I'm not saying the Giants have had a plethora of amazing wide receivers. I mean, they've had some good names, and then Odell was really good in his tenure there. But I'm just surprised that Malik Neighbors set the record.
Yeah. Well,
the-
you gotta remember, like Eli was also like a very spread the ball around guy.
Oh yeah, it just surprised me is all. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Like it's so commonplace now to see receivers hit triple digits that it just surprised me. But
Yeah.
108's not what's the record all time? Isn't it only like 121?
It's something like that, yeah.
Michael
'Cause,
Thomas
didn't
has it,
Cooper?
right?
I thought someone broke it. Was it Cooper Cup or Puka?
No, I think Michael Thomas still has it.
Brock Bowers has the record for rookies.
No,
Yeah.
just for regular receptions, though, right?
I think it's Michael Thomas. Oh no, it's 149.
There's a lot of
Never mind.
receptions.
Yep, the slant king himself. I think Puka Nacua had the most receptions for a rookie.
Was
and
it
then
for a
Brock Bowers-
rookie?
And then Brock Bowers broke it.
The next year.
Cooper Cup had 145 in his Triple Crown year. I tell you what,
that guy gets quarterback. He's going to be a good tight end.
that's a pretty crazy thing to think about too for the Bengals. Number 1 in passing yards, number 1 in passing touchdowns, triple crown receiving leader, and then their number 2 receiver had almost 1,000 yards and like 14 touchdowns, and they didn't make the playoffs.
Well, Jerry Jeudy set the Browns record with 90. I tell you, I didn't realize this until today, though. Like, in almost any other season, probably, Baker Mayfield's probably in the running for MVP.
So I said this on the show last week. I know you weren't here, but like I would like the narrative to stop that Josh Allen is just the hands down MVP of the season, because he's not.
I don't think he should be.
He shouldn't be. Lamar has better numbers than him with a team that's just as good. I do not subscribe to the fact that Lamar has better weapons than Josh Allen does, because James Cook had an amazing season. He was, I think until last night, I think he was the touchdown leader on the season. I think Jahmyr Gibbs' 4 touchdowns ended up putting him in the lead for it with like 20 touchdowns or something like that. But like the Zay Flowers, I don't think Zay Flowers is like a hard number 1 on any team. Like I think he's a number 1 because he's in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think he's a good receiver. I just don't think I wouldn't say he's top 15, top 20. And I just think what Lamar did was, I think it was more impressive in my opinion, and I also think that Joe Burrow deserves more credit, and I think Baker does too. Now that we're talking about it,
I'm telling you, because I happen to look at his number 6. We're talking about him at work, and he had 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns with 16 picks.
Good
I
year.
also think
Almost
Saquon
any
deserves
other
it more.
season, that's an MVP season.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I couldn't believe it. So I'm looking at James Cook was tied for the lead in touchdowns with Gibbs and Henry.
Oh, okay.
They all had
that's right.
16.
That's right. No, that's right. He was when James Cook was. They were going to try to get him another rushing touchdown. We were talking about the incentives earlier, and did you see what Sean McDermott did for the Bills punter?
No.
So the Bills were on the New England 35. It was like 4th and 2 or whatever. And instead of electing to kick a field goal, he let the punter come out and punt from the New England 35 to put a punt inside the 20 to get him $250,000 bonus.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Mock, I need to know this. Does your narrative on Justin Herbert change?
On Herbert? I mean, what do you mean?
Because you were saying that he's not that great of a quarterback last year.
I mean, I don't think he's like a superstar quarterback. I think he's
I think you're so wrong on that.
okay.
Look at the
I
numbers.
mean,
Just look at the numbers and tell me otherwise.
Hey, do you think Jamar Chase deserves the MVP more than Joe Burrow?
Jamar Chase is very good.
127 receptions, 1,708 yards, and 17 touchdowns.
They had an amazing year. It's a shame that it's basically just the quarterback award.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with, like, they were talking about it before because, whatchamacallit, because Patrick Surtain had, like, the amazing year he had this year. Only 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards in NFL history have gone to cornerbacks, Charles Woodson and Stephon Gilmore. It's basically just an edge rusher award.
Yeah.
Which is, like, that's where, like, the NFL needs to, like, redirect their awards. Like, the way I look at it is, like, the defensive, like, Player of the Year award and the MVP, I think they need to switch them up like the MLB does and have it per conference. Because I think more players deserve recognition, and because like being like named best quarterback or being named best wide receiver, like it means nothing.
Right.
I mean, Jamar Chase will probably actually. I don't even know if Jamar. Do you think Jamar Chase deserves OPOY more than Barkley? Well, I guess they'll both win it because they're different conferences.
Right.
I think Barkley would get it over him if it was one award.
I'm sort of in that boat too, just because, and who knows, maybe down the road, become a 2,000-yard rusher will be more commonplace because of the extra game. But as of right now, the list isn't terribly long, so it was a very notable performance from Barkley.
The only reason I think that Jamar Chase would hold a pretty substantial chance at getting it over Saquon would be because this was the year I don't know, it wasn't his worst year receiving, but it didn't really feel like he was an extension in the passing game at all. You know what I mean? Like he had 278 receiving yards, which outside of his rookie year with the Giants where he had 721, he kind of hovers around the 250 to 350 mark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he just has so many more receptions. Like with the Giants, I'm looking at it here. He had 2020, he only had 2 games played. So, but 2018, he had 91 receptions. 2019, 52. 2021, 41. 2022, 57. 2023, 41. And then this year he had 30. So he just had longer receptions. He averaged 8.4 per reception, which he only did twice in New York. But I don't know. I feel like he wasn't really involved in the passing game at all.
No, that's fair. Definitely a step down in that regard.
I wonder if anything attributes to just not limiting touches, but kind of I don't know, reducing somewhere. I mean, granted, he had a ton of fucking carries, but
Well, I think the problem too is more so than limiting the touches. I think a big part of it is just that when Saquon was out as a receiver, not only was he up against AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but he was also up against Jalen Hurts scrambling. You know what I mean? Whereas all of his years as a Giants running back, if he would the quarterback was never running first. It would have needed to have been a disaster play for the quarterback to take off and run. Daniel Jones was very mobile, but he was never looking to run. Just think of how many more touchdowns he would have had if he wasn't with Jalen Hurts.
I mean, really, he probably has 8 more.
Yeah, I mean, he still had a career high 13, but I think he breaks 20 if he plays with a pocket passer.
Throw Kirk Cousins out there, forget it.
Hey,
Saquon
Mark,
Barkley
who
also
else
took
are
his.
you out there with?
Saquon Barkley also took the first sack of his career this year. So I guess it doesn't go to him. Guy sucks.
Mark,
Yeah.
who is he out there with? Jey Uso.
Travis Scott.
Is that who that is?
Yeah.
Gay.
Hey, listen, he had that big album a couple years ago.
I'd like to do a quick draft.
Shoot.
And then
One thing. Can I just say
we'll
one
sign
thing
it off.
real quick?
Huh?
Can I just say one thing?
Oh my god. You love Justin Herbert. We get it.
I do.
What were you going to say?
So he had 3,800 yards, which is 9th in the league.
Mhm.
23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 65.3 QBR rating.
He had
And
3
an offense-
interceptions.
Only 3.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
And an offense that was supposed to be rebuilding.
I think. Look, I'll step in on this conversation here. I think Jalen Hurts. I think Justin Herbert is like he's the top of the tier. Like he's on the top of the tier right outside of elite. I think Justin Herbert is in the Baker Mayfield category. Like, because I don't think Baker Mayfield's elite. I think he's really, really, really good. I think that like one of Baker's things is like I think Baker Mayfield sometimes gets a little gun happy and like could be the reason you have a turnover. You know what I mean? That makes it a little more difficult. Justin Herbert is less that, more Alex Smith, where like he just like he sometimes like they win in spite of him. I think he can take that step to be elite. I don't think he's elite though. I don't think he's elite yet. I think he can be.
I mean, he's fine.
If the Giants traded for him, would you be happy?
I wanted the Giants to draft him when he came. I mean, it's just again, like I mean, Paul kind of hit. Like, I don't think he's a top end, but he's fine. Like, he's
Like, I think if you were to rank all the starting quarterbacks in the NFL, like projected starters for next year, right? I think if you were to rank all of them, I think he would fall 8 to 11.
That's
I think
fair.
I think it would fall 8 to 11. Like just a real quick rundown. Like, all right, NFC East. I'll never take a rookie quarterback, no matter how hyped they are, over any established starter.
Agreed.
So whoever the Giants have excluded. Jalen Hurts, I'll take over just because Jalen Hurts the dynamic component to it. I think Justin Herbert's better than Dak.
yeah.
And I think Jaden Daniels is kind of in that same category after a year. So I'll exclude Jaden Daniels just because of Justin Herbert having the experience.
Okay.
NFC North, I'm taking Goff, and that's probably it. NFC South, I'm taking Baker, and that's probably it. And then NFC West, I'm taking Stafford, and that's probably it. AFC East, I'm taking Allen,
Yep.
and that's probably it. AFC South, after this year, I don't think I'm taking anybody. I think CJ Stroud's kind of like in that grouping. He has to show that he can bounce back from this.
Yeah.
AFC North, I'll take Lamar and Burrow.
Yep.
And then AFC West, I'll take Mahomes. So that would put him at 9, Kyle. Is that fair?
It's fair, but it's more of a toss-up with a couple of those guys.
Which couple?
I think he's with Baker.
I mean, so I'm giving it to Baker because statistically Baker just has had better years than him. And the only reason I'm not giving the nod to some of these other guys is I think Justin Herbert's a better talent than like a Geno Smith or Jaden Daniels or whatever. But it's not like Justin Herbert hasn't had weapons in his career.
No, I get it. The coaching was a big part of it.
I understand.
It's amazing what he can do with a real coach.
Well, I mean, but could you also not agree with the statement that up until this year Baker Mayfield hasn't had a real coach, or up until last year? I mean, coaching was a problem, and ownership and organization run in the Browns was a problem. Don't forget, just a few short years ago, we had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on the Panthers.
Yeah. Was that when Matt Rule was there?
I think so. Like, I'm not saying Baker. I'm not trying to say like Baker Mayfield's lights out better. I just think that if you had to put them head to head right now, you have to give the nod to Baker.
If we're going head to head right now, he's better than Stafford now.
I don't think you can say that. Stafford has won a lot of games, and he won a lot of games this year with a lot less with just equally talent. He was winning games when he didn't have Puka and Cooper Kupp.
In a statistical standpoint, he's better than Stafford this year.
What, statistical wise?
Yeah, this year.
But I would still take Stafford to lead me on a game-winning drive over Herbert.
Either way, he's
Herbert,
better than just fine.
no, Herbert is good. I think we assessed it perfectly. And we all know his coaching matters. You know, it's a match made in heaven as of right now. I think moving forward, it's going to be a really positive thing for him. I think he could, stride forward more, for sure.
They had very, very similar seasons, Stafford and Herbert. Herbert was a little better, but...
And I just think, like, Stafford's definitely on the decline, because I think you also take that into consideration, Kyle, too. You have, again, I'm not saying Herbert isn't better than Stafford or can't be better than him all time. Stafford and Herbert put up very similar numbers. Herbert's 25 and Stafford's 33.
He also had way less.
But Stafford was missing a lot of pieces throughout the entire year. And Herbert has a much better defense than Stafford does.
Sorry.
I'm just saying, like, you have to take things like that into consideration. Herbert didn't have to do as much to win games because the defense wasn't allowing opponents to rack up scores. I think the other thing you could take into consideration too is that, like, Stafford, I just think Stafford, just as of right now, I think you have to give that edge to Stafford. Like, intangibles have to be weighed a little bit too. I mean, I think Herbert is really good, and I think he can be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But I think right now he's more of like that. I know you're gonna hate this statement, but like that, like Joe Flacco, like Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers quarterback, where like he can make things happen. All the talent is there, but he needs the help. And so, and then let's see what happens like next year. Like what he did this year with the lack of receiver talent was really impressive. When he hopefully gets some receiver talent this year, can he take the next step? Because he wasn't like elite when he had decent receivers. He was really, really good, but he wasn't elite. So I just think, like, right now, if you were going to put it, I would put him 9th. Which, I mean, 9 out of 32 is not bad.
No.
Agreed.
Kyle, I feel like you're really upset about this.
Let's just move on.
Why are you so upset about this? You don't even know this guy.
But you asked I mean, we just don't agree with exactly what you're saying.
Like, it's the way that you portray it, Mark. You're like, he's fine.
I think he's fine.
He's much better than just fine.
Okay, Kyle, that's what we have a different opinion. I think he's a quarterback making over $50 million a year and threw 23 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, he also didn't throw the ball the first 6 weeks.
Well, then you're not a quarterback. I mean, what are...
No, that's not it. It was the way that the Chargers ran their offense.
And like,
I ran the ball 45 times a game.
I get what you're saying, Kyle. I do. I really do. But like, the other thing too is like you can't just go off stats. And the reason I say that is because
I'm not. I'm going by what I saw and how he played.
No, I understand that. He played
he
very
better than Mahomes this year, but everybody's going to give Mahomes the edge over him.
But Mahomes also beat him statistically.
Yeah,
and you could make the argument that Mahomes also did it with nobody. Travis Kelce was on a milk carton for the first 14 games of the season, and until they got DeAndre Hopkins, they didn't have a wide receiver one. Like, I mean, just like from a statistical standpoint, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and Aaron Rodgers all had more yards than him. Brock Purdy finished 6 yards behind him, and Kyler Murray was within 40 yards. And, like, I'm not taking Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, or Aaron Rodgers over Justin Herbert. No way. Or Geno Smith or Sam Darnold. I wouldn't do that. So, like, I'm not going to go based off stats alone. I think Herbert is... I think he's really good. I think that he he can be elite. I think at this point in his career, now give it more time in the Jim Harbaugh system, let them add pieces, let them continue to be a presence on the ground and defensively in the trenches. And I think you could have a Justin Herbert that is an elite style quarterback. But like right now, he's the centerpiece in which they're building around, but it takes time. That's just
Yes.
that's the way that's the way that I look at it. Because like for me, with statistics, I can't look at like how like his rookie year he threw for 4,300 yards, and then in 2021 he hit he hit the 5K mark, and then 4,700 but like while it's still difficult to hit the 4,000 yard mark because not everybody does it, it's a lot more commonplace than it ever was. And you look at it like this year, for example, the 4,000 yard mark was eclipsed by what, 6 guys? I mean, that's a lot. 6 guys threw for over 4,000 yards, and you had Patrick Mahomes was at the 3,900 plus mark. Like the yards don't always mean so much to me. I think that the ball security thing was awesome. I just, as of like right now, I don't know. I just can't do it. I can't take him over Baker right now. And it has nothing to do with being a Baker dick rider.
No, he had a great year.
Well, and it's not his first great year. That's the reason. Like it's not. It's like that's why it's not like this was a fluke in the pan. That's why
I agree.
Right. That's why like Kyle. Like I won't take Jaden Daniels or C.J. Stroud over him, just because they've had one good year. I won't do that. Because that's Herbert has had 5 solid NFL years, with the exception of the 1 year where he was hurt. But like Baker's been at the 4,000 yard mark now for 2 consecutive seasons. He's this is the first year he's gotten over 30 touchdowns, but he's always been at that 25 mark or higher. His interceptions are a little high. But I also think you could make the argument that Baker, was, for some reason, Todd Bowles, defensive guru, had one of the worst defenses in the fucking world.
It's true.
Yeah, he should be fired.
Their defense was so bad.
He's a coach that should be fired.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard when you figure how long has Todd Bowles been there?
Probably about 5 years.
No, he wasn't the head coach when Brady was there, was he?
No, he took over after they won.
So 3 or 4 years. But if you're a defensive-minded coach and your defense is bottom in the league,
I understand, but you also but I mean, you can't fire a guy that keeps winning. Like I understand what you're saying, Kyle. I totally get it. But I'm saying, so he's been the head coach since 2022. So the Tampa Bay Bucks have won the division. They were saying it on the air yesterday. This is their 4th straight division title. That means he's 3-0 as division champion as a coach. Can't fire him. Can't fire him for winning the division 3 straight years in 3 years of coaching. Like I get what you're saying. Like, but the leash is definitely shorter. Like, let's say they go out next year and offensively they lay a massive egg with no big injury setbacks. Like Baker regresses, Mike Evans shows age, Chris Godwin doesn't come back to form, and the team just underperforms offensively and the defense is trash. Then maybe you can make the argument like, hey, I know you've won 3 straight divisions, but this is going the wrong direction and it's going quick. We're moving on. I totally get that, but you can't fire him for after he wins the division. Didn't they win a playoff game last year too? They beat the Eagles last year, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, where do we rank Mike Evans in like our generation of wide receivers?
Our generation dating to 2000 and on?
Sure.
at least top 7.
Higher than top 7.
So I mean, really, who's over? Calvin Johnson, right?
So for me personally, I rank him 3. But I'll also catch a lot of flack for my list.
I mean, I think Antonio Brown was a better receiver when he wasn't an asshole.
I would
mean,
rank
you
him
got-
3.
And really, I mean, you got to figure he's been in the league 11 years and he has 11,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
You know, like that's insane.
I would rank him 3.
Is it behind Calvin and Fitzgerald?
No, Fitzgerald and Moss.
Oh, I forgot about Moss.
I would put him right above Calvin Johnson only because Calvin Johnson. I think Calvin Johnson was a better receiver. I'm saying that now, but what you just said, Mike Evans has played 11 years, has 11,000-yard receiving or 11,000-yard receiving seasons. Has done it with some pretty shit quarterback play for the majority of it.
Who was
You
his
figure he's been
quarterback when he first came into the league?
Was it Fitzpatrick?
I mean, he was a quarterback in his run, but I don't know if it was his first.
So
I mean-
we're in 2024, 2025. So he was rookie what in 20?
He came out in 2014. He came out the year with
Okay.
Odell.
So his first year was Josh McCown and Mike Glennon.
Yucky.
Then Jameis Winston for 2 years as a full starter. Then Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick for split starts. Then Jameis Winston again for a full season. And then Tom Brady for 3 and Baker for 2. So half of his career has been with.
Yeah,
You,
and
was
you figure
rough.
six of his 11 years were with subpar quarterback play.
that can't be overlooked. That's so important.
That's right. I mean, he's
So-
got to be.
For me, he'd be 3 with
Oh.
just going off of the list. Antonio Brown didn't have the longevity, and with the same thing with Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson played 9 years. He had 7,000-yard seasons out of those 9. Which there's nothing to take away from it. He's a better receiver. There is no arguing that. Calvin Johnson is the number 1 receiver in our generation of watching football. He's better than Randy Moss at the receiver position. But when you're factoring in the entireties of careers, you have to take years played and stats into it.
Yeah.
You just don't have a choice. Because Calvin Johnson, because the same year, he played 9 years. The 10th year, he goes out week 1 and rips all of the ligaments in his knee and never plays again. You know what I mean? Like it could be, you never know. If he played 15 years, he probably shatters all those records. He might rival Jerry Rice's records.
Was he slowing down
Who?
when
Calvin
he
Johnson?
retired?
Calvin Johnson? No.
I remember
No?
his last season.
He got hurt, right?
He was a little banged up, but I mean, still had like good, not like decent numbers.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. Calvin Johnson's stats.
He
His
played with
last year was-
Stafford.
His
Every
last
year
year was
but one?
2015. His last year, 2015, he played all 16 games. He had 88 catches for 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Pretty good year.
There was one
Oh.
year where he just was hurt. I forgot what year it was.
So actually, he never had a season where he played less than 13 games. So his rookie year, he had 48 for 756. Then in 08, 78 for 1,300. 09, 67 for 984. He missed 2 games. So he probably would have broke 1,000 on that, but he didn't, just off the argument's sake. Then subsequent years after that, 1,100, 1,600, 1,900, 1,400, 1,000, 1,200. And then he retired.
He played with Stafford every year but one, right?
Stafford was drafted in 09, so 2. I think Stafford was drafted in 09 because I think 08 was Matt Ryan. I don't think were Matt Ryan and Stafford the same year?
I don't remember.
I thought Stafford was 09, or was that Bradford's year? No, Bradford was like 2010, right?
Bradford might have, or I think Stafford was 08.
Was he the same year as like Matt Forte and all them?
I'm gonna say yes, but we're gonna go ahead and just do a fun Google search.
I got it. I'm here. I'll pull the Massey. He was drafted in 09.
Yeah, but it was the 2008 season.
What? So
Easily
he
overlooked.
had Stafford. So he had Stafford for 7 of the 9 years.
And
So
then he
six
had
of
Dan Orlovsky. The guy sucked.
and then
I tell you, I
Antonio
didn't know
Brown.
that Mike Evans had more receiving yards than Antonio Brown. Didn't know that.
Yeah, Brown's career took a quick turn.
Right, Antonio Brown technically played 12 seasons, but he only played one game in 2019, 8 games in 2020, 7 games in 2021. So in his Pittsburgh career, uh, let's basically count that for what it is. So he played from 10 to 18. So what? 8 seasons? One, two,
Pretty
three,
much take
4, 5,
that
6,
total
7,
and take
8.
1,000 yards off.
Yeah. So, but in those 9 seasons he played with Pittsburgh, he broke 1,007 of them.
The first year, he was a rookie.
Yeah, he played 10 games. He had 167 yards. And then in 2012, he played 13 games. He had 66 receptions for 787 yards.
The first
And
year
then,
was when we had Wallace and Sanders, I think.
yeah. But from a longevity standpoint, I'm not going to take Antonio, because Antonio Brown, I'm not going to take those last 3 years into consideration because he was a fucking basket case. So, like, from a longevity standpoint, I'm not going to take either of them because, like, Mike Evans realistically probably still has 2 or 3 more years in him.
Hey, the crazy thing too, he's never had a year with over 100 receptions.
No, he's a big target down. He's a medium range target guy.
How many games
catches
did he
that.
miss this year?
I'm sorry,
4? He missed 4 this year, right?
Evans. 3.
3?
That's the other thing that I think is the reason I would take Mike Evans, is because Antonio Brown was relatively healthy for the majority of his Steelers career.
Montez perfect ruined him.
Mike Evans put up. Now
I'm about to see a fun rivalry, though.
I'll
Well-
say I'll say for Ha-Ha's just because it's only a game, but Mike Evans has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his 11 seasons where he played every game. So less than 50% and broke 1,000 in all of them.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is facing an arch nemesis this weekend.
Lattimore?
Yep. For some reason, he doesn't play well against them.
Yeah, don't know why.
It was funny. They were talking about how, like, if Marshawn Lattimore was still a Saint, Marshawn Lattimore would have spent the entire game making sure Evans didn't break 1,000.
Yeah, that's true.
The other reason I'm going to put Mike Evans over Antonio Brown and Calvin Johnson is just because Mike Evans also, too, is just a touchdown machine.
Yeah.
The guy's had, of his 11 seasons, he's had 6 of them where he's been in double-digit touchdowns.
Listen, I'm a big fan of Mike Evans, so I don't care where we put him.
He also hasn't fumbled since 2018. He also has one
wasn't it
carry.
a Giants game where he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns?
Probably. That checks out.
I forgot what year it was. But
It could
somebody
be
had
any
him
of
in
them.
fantasy. Like
Could be any of them.
It was one of those 4, and they were
Yeah.
facing the Giants, and he just went bananas.
Well, so I guess there's some questions to be asked, though, when you're considering our generation. So Randy Moss is for sure an our generation receiver.
Yep.
There's no questions there. Jerry
Yeah.
Rice, no.
I would
'Cause
say no.
Right. What about Marvin Harrison?
Yes.
Yeah.
He played 2/3 of his career since 2000.
I'd like to know how this affects the argument first.
Do you think Marvin Harrison deserves the nod over Evans?
No, I would say he's in our generation.
But would you rank him over?
And then they go straight. I don't know.
So Marvin Harrison had 8 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. The first 3 years of his career, he didn't go over 1,000. And the second half, the one thing that Mike Evans doesn't have is he doesn't have any of those like 15, 16, 1,700 yard seasons. They're all like 1,100. Like he just gets over the 1,000 yard mark.
Yeah, he had one season of 15.
Is that
Marvin
with
Harrison.
Brady?
Marvin Harrison from 1999 to 2006 had 16, 14, 15, 17, 12, 11, 11, 13.
Yeah.
And double-digit touchdowns in each of them.
Peyton
But he
Manning
fumbled a
was
lot.
that guy.
That was playing with Peyton?
But he
Yes.
fumbled a lot, though.
Did he?
Marvin Harrison had 10 fumbles in his career.
That
That's a
was
lot
playing
for a
with
receiver.
Peyton?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
the
it's
other
fair to
1A
say.
one-
That's fair to say.
I think you can put him in that category. Because he's got, I mean, Mike Evans has less years played, and but that's the funny thing is like Mike Evans has never really had that humongous, consistently humongous stretch of years. He had the 1,500 year, but the one thing about Mike Evans that I will say though is that he's consistent, and that consistency only in we just rattled off all those yards numbers for Marvin Harrison, but Marvin Harrison has 4 more years played than Mike Evans, and only 2,000 yards less. Interesting.
Yeah. For sure.
Mike Evans is good, and it's a shame that Kyle's never given him his flowers. He's always said he's overrated.
What are we talking about?
Mike Evans.
Hate the guy.
Remember how you were saying if Mike Evans went to the Chargers that it would be the worst thing you've seen since Joe Flacco and Julio Jones?
Yes.
Remember that?
Well, at least he
Pepperidge
acknowledged
Farm
it.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. Wow, rough day for Victor Wembanyama in the Windy City.
The Bulls won?
Bulls won, Zach LaVine crossed his ass up, and then he got dunked on by Kobe White.
Still a guy we were wrong about. Oh, no.
Oh, God, this is hilarious.
That's
Who
what
is it?
I'm talking about, too, Mock.
Jimmy Hart just came out.
Dude, he looks so bad.
Which one?
Hogan.
Yeah, the guy's like 80 years old.
You have to understand, they've been the same people for 50 years.
It is funny to watch. I was watching like old interviews of people just talking about how terrible Hulk Hogan was, like, like to work with. They're like, he was the fucking worst.
So I saw this thing too one time that was like,
Listen here, brother.
the only reason that they had him wear the bandana was because they didn't want people to know he was bald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else sucks?
Jimmy
Vince
Hart.
Russo.
Amber Heard.
Yeah.
Both equally.
That Vince
Yeah,
Russo
so
guy
fun.
sucks. I tell you know who looks like shit? Jeff Jarrett.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
If that guy drank
he's
one
missing
glass of
tires.
water,
A clip from like AEW popped up and it was him and I was like, oh my god. You look bad.
It's amazing how long these guys can do this for. Dude,
It'd be
the
funny
fucking
if
guy didn't
Hogan came
walk
out
the
for
road.
another match here.
the dude didn't even walk to the ring, that lazy shit.
Like, I'm challenging Gunther.
no, he's going to fight a picture frame of the Ultimate Warrior.
All right. Beer reviews.
Water was great.
Nice.
Anything.
Hey, that's all right. New year, new you. It's also, are you participating in Dry January?
Nope,
I
he's
was
participating
planning
in-
on it.
He's participating in Cash Bar January.
Oh,
Yeah. I was planning on it, but we have a couple of weddings this January, and there is just no way.
well, good. Because I tell you what, I
Yeah.
hate January for you.
We just went to one. It was a fucking cash bar.
Terrible.
Yeah, I was pissed. That should be on the invite. Really, it should be.
No, listen, no doubt.
Although I gotta say, it's better than what we thought was going to happen. That it was going to be a dry wedding. I did the Kendall move, and I had a cooler in the car.
Good call. I mean, you should just do that anyway. I had from the Riddler collection the oldest member, which I've now dethroned, the Longevity. It's a Chardonnay from 2018 from the California region of the United States. It was
that's actually the first Indian-owned winery in California.
It's too funny for me to dispute. I'm not going to. It noted here in the back of the bottle, it says alcohol content by volume 13.5%. It contains sulfates for you people keeping track. This was fun. I don't know the price point on this. Maybe the Riddler could help me out on this. I don't know if this is like a one and done. You know, it's got the markings on it for, you know, being perhaps something you wouldn't find on a shelf. But it's not saying that it's not just produced all the time.
It's a $95 bottle of card.
Oh. I hope that's not true, because I definitely abused it when I added the bush for most of the glasses. As promised earlier in the show, I was going to taste it with a bush to see how it was, and I kind of liked it. So if you like your Chardonnay with a little bit of a beer component, then this is the bottle of wine to do it with. Now, otherwise, if you just like your Chardonnay plain out of the bottle, this is also pretty good. There's a sweetness to it. I don't really have a sophisticated or, you know, educated ability to really give any more information on it. But I did enjoy it. I'll give it 4.4 out of 5. Would absolutely get again.
And you know what's one of my favorite things?
What's that?
Where in almost every beer review, you're just like, well, listen, I'm an idiot. So here's what I
guess here's the problem. For the most part, I do enjoy a lot of things. And one thing I lack, you know, doing reviews or not, I can't articulate what I want to say. I understand things very well, but I can't put proverbial pen to paper. That is my biggest lacking thing as an intellectual person.
Oh, what do you think about that?
I think he says too much.
And there we go. Kyle Souls, the guy who had tap water.
Spoken by Kendall Reed, the guy who's never had a beer he didn't like.
That's not true. It's 98%. It's not true. It's 99%.
Chargers signed Ezekiel Elliott.
What?
They did.
How did they sign Ezekiel Elliott?
He got cut.
He got cut
Yeah,
last
I
week.
just learned that today myself.
I hope he rushes for like 250 yards.
Would be hilarious.
I knew it
Fuck
for
him.
days.
So funny. I had from the Burlington Beer Company in Vermont the collaboration Bar Hill Gin Brewery Oaken Hive, a Tomcat gin barrel aged barley wine ale. This is a limited release beer that I was turned on to by one of my beer snob friends at work. I like it a lot, actually. It's very transparent, very honey colored. I like it a lot. It's, on the nose, the honey definitely comes through. You get that kind of wine-ish barley wine style to it. On the taste, it's not too overly bitter, but definitely not too much on the alcohol content. I think it's 11.5% in a 500 milliliter wine style bottle. Big fan. Would get again 4.57.
Nice.
There you go. Mark, if they want to hear Kendall call himself an idiot some more, where can they go?
Listen, find us on Facebook at Getting Sports with Drunk, Twitter and Instagram at GSWD_4.
Make sure you use the hashtag GSWD for all your daily uses, whether it's just trying to have all your friends say that Justin Herbert's terrible so you can justify thinking that yourself, or having tap water.
Like, comment, subscribe on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify.
Oh, Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Make sure to tune in next week where we'll break down a little bit on what we think of the first round of the playoffs, as well as getting ready for I don't know, when do pitchers and catchers report, Kyle?
Tonight.
Mid-February.
All right, we're not going to talk about that then. We will hold off on that, but we'll talk. Maybe we'll do some little mid-season NBA talk. We'll see. I don't know. Probably not though. Until then, though, I'm your hostess, Cupcake the Riddler.
I'm Mark.
Row waveable safe.
Hey.
I don't remember my name told.
And the rat of a red baron.
No.
Yeah.